Have you played an escape room before? And have you ever thought, how does this work? How do these puzzles come together to create this story? Why are there so many different puzzles and I can't figure out this shit to save my life? I don't get it. How can I win? How can I defeat the clock? How are my friends doing this so much better than I am? Honestly, I've had so many questions about escape rooms that I always wanted to know, what does it take to run one? How do you start an escape room from an idea to a theme to the puzzles? I've been to a few escape rooms and I've always had those questions in the back of my mind while playing. Trying to figure out all the puzzles can be challenging. There's different kinds of puzzles. And you find that you're either good at one puzzle type or another puzzle type. If there are too many people in one room, you can't really solve a puzzle because someone solves it faster than you. However, escape rooms are still really fun. They're very enjoyable. And I had the pleasure to sit down and chat with Mike Rosinsky. Mike is the owner of the Monster Quest escape room in downtown Las Vegas and has been an avid escape room goer since 2018. Since then, he has played over 100 escape rooms, and he loved it so much that he wanted to own one. So he finally took the leap and is now the owner of the Monster Quest escape room in Las Vegas. In this conversation, we talk about the history of escape rooms, how escape rooms are created, different puzzles of escape rooms, how to put everything together, and we even talk about Mike's journey into owning the Monster Quest escape room. He also shares some insightful messages for those looking to follow their heart in whatever they set their mind to. Hey there, it's Jules. Welcome to Jules Unscripted, Living Life Without a Script podcast, where we chat about the beauty of aging, learning what authentic means to you, and how to build your dream life one step at a time. Get ready to hear stories from incredible people who learned what it takes to build nothing out of something. Here we go. Hi everyone, welcome to Jules Unscripted, Living Life Without a Script podcast. I'm your host Jules, and I'm here today at Monster Quest Escape Room in Las Vegas. Monster Quest Escape Room is a very fun escape room that's been here for a while now, and they have 3 different rooms, and each room is very unique, very different. I've done 2 of them. The third one's coming out soon, and today I have Mike here, and Mike is the owner of the escape room, and he's been an escape room player for many, many years, you would say, right?
Yeah. Probably 2018.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. It was pre-pandemic, so
yeah,
that was like Stone Age, right?
Right. So you've been playing escape room since 2018.
Yes.
You were a former computer programmer.
That's correct.
And you also participate in anything nerdy, which is great because I'm a big nerd myself.
Yes.
And so I'm excited to sit down with you here today and talk with you about this escape room and to kind of get to know about what your journey was like to own this escape room and what it's like running an escape room and how it works.
Okay.
And just the experience of everything.
Okay.
So thank you again so much for coming onto the podcast and for sharing your experience with us.
Sure. So you just want me to start from the beginning?
Yeah. So tell us about your first escape room experience and what that was like for you and made you go, wow, this is really, really cool.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. Right when I did the first one, it was like, oh my God, I need to do all of these. It was either 2018, 2017, whenever it was. And my friend Robbie was in town. And I called her out of the blue because I looked online and my friend John had said that he played this thing called an escape room. And I looked at it and I called him and I'm like, what is this? And he goes, it's basically like a real life video game. And I went, oh my God, I am it. Because I love all the role-playing games and like the real influences for me were like Maniac Mansion, Thimbleweed Park, like where you have to find stuff and make creative uses out of it and put it in. And I'm like, I want to try this. So I drag her to the room and we failed miserably because we had no idea what to do.
Right.
But I was hooked instantly. And
Yeah.
I went, I need to do more of these. And then I I got my cousin and my friends involved, and I had like separate groups that I would go with, and I ended up playing. Now, God, I've probably played maybe 120 rooms.
Yeah.
And obviously, as it rolls in, you start to think, oh, well, how would I do one? What would I do here? And eventually I'm like, well, maybe I can own one.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes. And that was a leap as well, because I don't know if you've heard anything about owning a business. You get into a business that you like.
Yes.
And you think that all you're going to be doing is, constantly making puzzles and constantly resetting their rooms and running all this, but that is not true. You get into the business and you never do the business.
Right.
It's always something else that comes up that you're responsible for. So if it's not like, making sure all bills are paid, making sure that it's promoted, making sure that the staff is here, making sure that everything's in shape, And God forbid how many business or like paperwork and things you have to follow too. So yeah, it's a lot, but so far, so good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've always been curious about how you come into this business.
Okay.
And it's mostly about you. So like what you're saying is you saw it, you're like, I want to do this, I want to learn how to do this, I want to like create my own. So after that like initial light bulb moment that you had, what got you started to do Monster Quest? Was Monster Quest your first escape room business that you had, or did you have something in between? Like, what kind of got you to this location and this business that you own?
Okay, so yeah, that's another big journey. I started playing, like I said, in 2017, 2018 or so, got really into them, and then I started to get the idea of owning one.
Yeah.
So I found that there was an escape room convention.
Oh, they have a convention?
They do.
What? I did not know this.
I thought originally it was for players. Because I'm like, oh my God, I can go and play like a whole bunch of rooms. No, it's for escape room owners. And I went, I want to go check it out to see like...
Where was it?
It was in San Antonio.
San Antonio, Texas.
Yes.
I never would have thought that Texas had an escape room like convention.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Right. But it moves. It was... It's this thing called Transworld, it's called.
Never.
Yeah, I know. I hadn't either until, it was about the beginning of 2019. Actually, middle of 2019. We went out to San Antonio for this convention. And it signed up for classes, like how to design puzzles, how to design rooms. And they had all the tech vendors there, so you can go and see what puzzles and technology were available. And I was really getting into it. And the very first class I went to, it was about story and how to drive the story, how to space out puzzles and everything. And I'm taking notes. And the guy in charge of it was called the test subjects. And one guy in particular who ran it was Bizarro. And he's actually local here in Vegas, which I didn't know. So I had to leave early because there was this virtual reality, it's like escape room experience that they had on site that you could try.
But virtual, like where you put over your head.
Yeah.
Kind of
No, I thought it was cool. This is the first time I ever heard about it. So, but unfortunately, you had to sign up for spots. And the spot I signed up for was like 10 minutes before his class ended. And I went up to him and I said, listen, I'm coming through your class. I don't want to seem rude. Like about 10 minutes before your class ends, I'm going to get up and walk out. And it's not because I think you're terrible. It's just I got this appointment. I just wanted you to know ahead of time. He goes, yeah, I totally understand. Not a big deal. Goes through the class, and he's a magician too. So they're doing all these tricks in class, and it was awesome, very entertaining. Got to 10 till, and I'm like, well, let's just sneak out. So we start to sneak out. And Biz goes, and there's our first person to walk out.
No,
and I'm like, oh, no.
That's so embarrassing.
Everyone starts laughing. And I'm like, I told you, because I know. And it's funny. So we went to the thing, and then there was a mixer afterwards. And we went to the mixer, and he's there. And I went up to him. I bought him a beer, which he didn't drink because he doesn't drink. But I bought him one. I sent it down in front of him. I said, hey, I appreciate that. And we started talking. And we became friends. Turned out that he's an escape room builder and that he lived in Las Vegas, which at the time, my original business partner lived in Vegas.
Okay.
And I'm like, so I guess we're going to build an escape room in Vegas. Because I'll have my builder there and my partners there. I'll just come back and forth. So this is 2019. We had found a building. We were going to design our own original rooms. I did all the budgeting, got all the estimates, worked for Biz and his team, got all my funding. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to build this. I made the decision. And then one of my financial backers backed out.
Yeah, that must have been tough.
Right. And I'm like, oh no. So I'm like, all right. And then it was a chain reaction when they said they were short. They're like, oh man, I'm out. And I lost them all. But if all had gone according to plan, I would have started building my first escape room in April of 2020.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Right when the pandemic hit, right?
Yes. It was basically 2 weeks after the pandemic started, I was supposed to start building, which would have been a nightmare because I would have racked up all this debt and couldn't open. So it was a blessing in disguise. So after that, I switched over to now I got a call out of the blue from my friend up in Canada. And she's in the film production area. And it was for the film Knives Out when it first came out.
Okay.
The first one. And they needed an escape room experience for the movie.
That's cool.
And it was at this, I can't remember the name of the house in Toronto, but it was this really cool, like, Victorian type mansion with all these weird rooms and stuff in it, but they had 4 bedrooms up top. They're about the same. So I had to design like a 15, 20-minute escape room experience that I could travel with.
Oh, so like a traveling escape room.
Yes.
That's cool.
So that's when I had my first design session. I'm like, okay, this puzzle will do this will do this. And I'm like, I couldn't make it very techy because a lot of the tech in escape rooms, like, they have to be built and they're triggered and stuff like that.
Right.
And I can't install that into a room. I have to be able to travel with this stuff too. So I managed to make it all fit into a lockbox that fit like this. And then I could open it, take stuff out, put it in, reset it, and it would be about a 15, 20-minute experience with that. So I tried it. We had a couple of her friends come out here in Vegas and play test it in her living room. Just to show that it would work anywhere.
Yeah.
And they enjoyed it. Then we went to her gym, and her gym instructor and their crew tried it out, and they enjoyed it too. So I'm like, all right, it seems like it's working. We worked out the bugs. We brought it up there, and believe it or not, it went well. So that was cool. Like, we had 2 types of room. We had the main room, and then we had a VIP room. And the VIP room was actually a 2-room experience, and it was like a 60-minute event.
Yeah.
So we managed to fit everything in the 2 suitcases, the travel and our suits and everything else. We had a story behind it because you were Knives Out. Like, you had to come in and we're like, oh my God, there was a murder.
Right.
You know, Detective Blanc, unfortunately, he needs more help. And we're looking for new recruits. So anyone who can solve this riddle can get on the team to go and join the hunt.
Yeah,
so that's
cool.
The thing. And then it was all downstairs. We had a big show. The first thing we gave them was like, to say you participated, we're going to put wristbands on you.
Okay.
And all the wristbands were different colors.
Yeah. Okay, so we could see who did what level kind of thing.
No, it was a puzzle. When you got into the room, they decoded one thing and said, check your wrist. So we gave them a clue right away.
Oh, that's cool.
So you walk in with something and they're like, oh, and those are the moments you want, is when they figure out a clue and they go, oh, and it relates to this. And then they all get excited. And then they go on to the next puzzle. And they're like, how does this one work? And then when it figures it out, you get that, oh,
right.
Those are the moments you're looking for. And it can't be like, I'm going to be a little technical here. It can't be what we call linear. Like, linear is you solve clue here, it solves this puzzle. What I like to do is if you figure out a puzzle, it gives you the clue to solve the next one. It's not a completion. The solving the puzzle is complete, but that solution leads to the next problem.
Right.
And now you're like, oh, okay, I have to do this, and then I have to do this. I don't want to say, you put this, like, the one puzzle I had was cool, it was a little 9-piece kids puzzle. You put it all together, and it was really easy. And the middle piece was locked up. They finally found the middle piece, put it together, and they had no idea what to do. If you flipped it over on the back and you shined a black light on it, there were all these weird symbols. But what I had done was I had took like the edges and pushed them together and wrote in between them. So you had to disassemble the puzzle and put it together differently.
So again, flip it over, like it was a part 2 of the part 1 puzzle.
Yes.
Okay, I see.
And then when you put it back together, it gave you numbers and codes for the picture frame puzzle, which is another whole puzzle.
Yeah.
So, but it was using a puzzle differently. Like you put it together the correct way and it didn't help you. So you had to, so there's no way you could know about it until you actually solved it correctly.
How do you come up with that? Because that's another question that I had for like creating escape rooms, right? How do you come up with the process of those puzzles, and like what makes you go, oh, that's a really good idea. Oh, I like that. Oh, like they will never get this, or like how do you come up with it? How do you come up with the idea on the puzzles, and how do you come up with the difficulty on the puzzles too?
Right. Okay. So again, the first class I took with Biz was about that. You want to assume that most puzzles can get solved. Like this is the timing of it. So if you have a 60-minute escape room, you assume puzzles are going to be solved in about 5 minutes. So if you have 5-minute introduction, 5-minute ending, let's just say you have 50 minutes worth of puzzles, you can fit about 10 puzzles in. But if you have a more difficult one, say it takes 10 minutes, you got to cut a small puzzle. So that's how you kind of figure out how you want to do it. And it's a lot of trial and error. But coming up with how puzzles work, oh my God. There's a lot of codes and ciphers and stuff that you can use. Like there's number ciphers and letter ciphers. Cipher is basically, so like a number cipher.
Okay.
So if you have in the alphabet, we have A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. So if I wanted to do cat, I would write 3,
Oh yes. Okay.
1, like that. And then you would sub it out. And there's also like ciphers where it shifts. So let's say.
Yes, the mummy room.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, the puzzle that shifts, like that one always trips me up.
Yeah. And it's just, so that is kind of like, those are fun brain puzzles. Then you have your physical puzzles. So you can have physical puzzles, you can have tech puzzles, you can have locks. Like obviously if it's a 3-digit combo, you have to figure out a way to get 3 numbers involved.
Right.
And that can be as simple as, you know, the keypad is, let's say the numbers, like the first digit is painted red, second digit is painted blue, and the third one is yellow.
Yeah.
And let's say there's numbers on the wall, and one's highlighted in red, one's in yellow, one's in blue. You're like, oh, those are your 3 numbers. That's the simple version.
Right.
See the color, it goes to there. Another version is you could have those colors, and you can put like a jar of rubber balls. And there's 3 blue balls in there. There's 5 green ones and 6 yellow.
And like each of the balls might have a number in them or something.
Or you can just count them. You
Yeah.
can make it as complicated as you have to pick them out and pick out which number, or you can just count the number of balls in the jar.
Okay.
So that's a different level of it. And then you can make it really hard to where now, like, you have to do math on it. And, you know, it's just increasing the difficulty.
Right.
So that's basically the idea. And you want to get a variety of puzzles. Like you go into a room and there's 10 combination locks. Once you do the 4th one, you're just like, okay, I don't want to do these anymore.
Right. I was gonna ask you too, like what do you say is like the minimum appropriate number of puzzles that is having an escape room where it's not boring?
Well, it's just the variety. Like I would put maybe 1 key lock. I would put 1 physical puzzle where you have to slide things around. Maybe 1, math problem. If you do 1 of each, and you also, like, if you have a group, like some people are very good at math. So they're going to see that puzzle and love it. But if you don't like math and it's all math puzzles, you're going to be really upset in that room.
Yeah, that's me. I'm really bad at math.
And there are other people who are very good at, like, observation. So you put a lot of observation puzzle where you're like, oh, look, there's a symbol on this painting, there's a symbol on this painting, there's a symbol on, they go into this lock, And then you can hide some stuff. So there's some people who like to explore rooms and find other stuff. Like, oh, I found this key here, I found this here, There are readers. So you put a note in there, and you're like, oh, I want to read this note. So you want to try to play to a different strength of people.
Right.
So that way, when you have a group of 4 come in, everyone feels they can contribute. You also, it's really cool to use puzzles where you have to work together, where it takes 2
I like
people.
those. Yeah.
Yes, where you have your clues in one room that you have to stare at a wall,
Yep.
and then you have to relay that information into the next room so they can solve it.
I've done a couple of those, and I'm like, oh my God, let's see it. Like, listen to me. Like, you're yelling at each other back and forth about the clues.
Oh,
and people are like, oh, but it's this. I'm like, no, listen, I'm seeing it right here. And then they have to, like, run over there and look at it. I'm like, oh, I see what you mean. You don't have to tell me again.
Yes. and then you get into the advanced one where they're literally, you're sealed off.
Yeah, that one's crazy,
And
too.
you have to look in the window and make sure that you can communicate through that. Like there's all sorts of ways to enjoy it, and people like that stuff. Like a lot of the tech stuff, they like. The one thing that sold me on the very first escape room was there was these cups we found, and when you place them correctly on this mantle, the mantle opened up, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think that was physically possible.
That's cool.
Because I had no idea. Now what happens is basically it's a trigger for a magnetic lock.
Yeah, those are really cool. The puzzles where it, like, moves or does something.
Yes.
And you're like, whoa, like, I was not expecting that.
Yes. And then, well, the way escape rooms have gone, like, there's different generations of escape rooms.
Okay. Do you know when escape rooms first came about?
Kind of.
Because I feel like it's kind of a more recent
It is.
development or more recent activity for people to come and do. So I was asking my dad, I'm like, Dad, have you been to an escape room and, like, have you tried it? But he was like, no, like, I haven't had that experience when I was your age, and I never knew about it until now. And now it's like, eh. So it definitely seems like a much newer thing, and that a lot of people are still getting to know more about. Like, people are like, what is that with an escape room? Like, I don't understand the concept. So it's definitely a much newer experience for people to do.
I want to say, don't quote me on this. I'm going to get it wrong, and then you're going to get in the comments, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So I understand that. I want to say it's either 2008, 2009, or 2010. So I gave you a 3-year range. So,
Right.
forgive me. And there's also some dispute over where it started. It either started in Japan or it started in, believe it or not, Budapest.
No, that's very interesting.
Budapest is considered like the capital of escape rooms.
Oh, I didn't think that escape room started across seas. Like, I wouldn't think about that.
Yes, and the one story is there is this game called Red Door.
Okay.
Okay? I think it's called Red Door. It's a video game where you're trapped in a room and you have to solve puzzles to get out. And these Japanese kids, not kids, but younger kids wanted to know if they can build a room to where they'd lock you in, and in order to get out, you had to solve puzzles. Mm-hmm. They wanted to build it in real life. And I believe the first room itself, which we call a Gen 1 game, there was 10 combination blocks. It was extremely hard. Like, the escape rate was like 5%. Okay. And in Japan, they were like, well, if they knew it was a hard task, if you did complete it, it was like, oh, well, if you did, it was a great honor, things like that. So they didn't expect to escape, but it took off. And then one of his business partners came over into San Francisco. And I believe that's where the first one started down in the West, up in San Francisco. So, and then that was generation 1. It was all just, combination marks or 3-digit codes and things like that.
Okay.
And then it started to get a little more advanced where you'd have the tech stuff in to where you could have magnetic locks and it would pop open. And now I think we're probably in generation 4, maybe in generation 5, where it's just all tech.
Yeah.
And it's just, you have to make it a production. Now we have like light cues and audible cues when you do something right, and stories have got to be story driven and everything else. And that's where my room is going. But it's kind of there. Like, I inherited these 2 rooms. I didn't build this first one. This is the first one I built myself. Well, I didn't build myself. I didn't do any of this.
The swamp room.
The swamp room, yes, the swamp room, the new one. So now, like, if you go to, you said you've played a few escape rooms, right?
Yes. I don't remember the names of them, but I remember kind of like the idea of it. Like the very first one I did, I was in New Jersey.
Okay.
And we did an alien one. And it was on the Jersey boardwalk.
Oh, cool.
And so it was like a 60-minute thing. It was just one room, and there's like an alien in the middle of the room. And we had to figure out how to save the world from the alien invasion.
Right.
And we made it out with 1 second.
Yes.
And that was the very first one that I've done. And I was like, this is so fun.
They're addicting.
They can be. And so that was back in like 2017, 2016.
Okay, right when I started.
Yeah, so it's been a long time. But I haven't been like continuous with them. So it would be like a friend would be like, hey, do you want to go here? Do you want to go here? I'm like, yeah, sure. And actually, in Vegas, I've done a couple. I did not do Escapology one, but I have done, I'm trying to remember what it is. It's like you were in this kind of hospital thing. And there was like a talking doll that wasn't Chucky, but was Chucky.
Interesting.
And I'm like, okay, that's like what I mostly remember from it. But then, my friend Ian was like, hey, like, you know, there's this escape room monster quest. We're going to do some play tests here. Do you want to come and try it out? So I was one of the first few play testers for this room, which is the Frankenstein room, which we're in right now. And I did the test room for the Mummy.
Yes.
So I did that, and that was really fun. And I was like, wow, these are great. And we came back with friends and did the Mummy one, not as a test room.
Right.
So, but yeah, so that's kind of like where I learned about escape rooms and kind of like my experience with it a little bit. But yeah, the puzzles and everything is just kind of can be challenging for me.
Everyone says that. And then those are the ones that usually contribute the most.
Yeah, there's some that I did, but with a lot of people, it's like you can't really get there. Like I felt like I was kind of like no one's really listening to me kind of thing. But yeah, so I've definitely played a bit. The VR ones are very interesting. I don't know if I'll do that, but I did do a VR like game type thing, and it was scary. And I was like, oh my god, like I was screaming, I was falling, and it was a thing.
You quickly forget that it's not real.
Right. Yeah. It was like you're in a video game. And so I like that you said that escape rooms are like you're in a video game, and that it's really, really fun. And I do like the story behind all of it. And so my question is like getting more into the escape room art of it all is how do you come up with a theme of the escape rooms after you come up with the puzzles? Because you said the puzzles came first, right? Or is it the theme that
comes first?
Okay, so theme comes first and then puzzle.
Yes.
So how do you come up with the theme? Like, do you want to talk about the new room that you have coming up?
Well,
the swamp room?
Mine, I was kind of pigeonholed into the theme. And I say that because when I inherited this, there's a big mural on the side of our building. It says Monster House on it.
Yes.
And the first 2 rooms were Monster, it was Mummy and Frankenstein. So now all the rooms in here have to be themed after some sort of monster.
I see.
So we knew it was going to be a monster theme. Obviously, all the rooms are monster themed because that's the theme I was inherited. So the decor was already done for Louisiana Cabin, and it was going to be Swamp Thing. So, but none of the puzzles were done. So they had thought about some of the puzzles, and then we kind of fine-tuned it. So the next room we're going to do is this one I got to create on my own. I was going to do Invisible Man.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, and we're going to try to make it feel like the guy is in the room with you.
Oh, that's creepy.
So like you might be starting a puzzle, and if you don't do it in time, he'll come and mess it up. It'll just, all the switches will unswitch and then to start over because he's messing with you, and he'll laugh and run away.
Oh my gosh, that's creepy.
So that's cool. And then what I did add was the lobby. Now, did you always see it when there was the medieval, the tavern?
I saw the lobby first when I came in for the mummy room that I did a couple weeks back.
Okay,
so when I first came out, there was no lobby.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we did, so you did a play test way back when.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Okay. So that was my idea. Well, it was all of our ideas, but I wanted to, since we had monsters from Victorian era and ancient Egypt, I'm like, there's no real connection to it. I want to make a story. And this is where I try to separate from the other escape rooms. Like, I don't like when you go into an escape room and the game master comes out and says, hey, sign your waiver. Let's take you back in. Then you'll watch a video. Like you'll be in a wizard room and there'll be a TV in there. And I'm like, well, they didn't really have TVs in wizard time.
Right.
And then you watch a video of don't climb on the furniture and don't use force. And I'm just like, it takes you out of it. And they try to be funny, but you have to say those rules. And then after that video is done, then another video comes up and explains the story.
Right.
And then you're like in the room already. And once you're in the room, the first thing you want to do is you want to start looking around and start playing. You don't want to sit there and watch. So you miss some of the story. And then the puzzles are just random puzzles. They don't tie together. Like there's no mission involved.
Right.
And then there has to be a twist. Like you have to go in with the mission. Like for our mummy room, you go in there to try to find out what happened to the archaeologist. By the end, there's a new mission. Like your initial goal isn't your end goal. So I came up with making it a medieval tavern in front. And I came up with a medieval village of Frampton. And I said that we have a wizard named Keldor. And he wanted to build a wizard tower. And unfortunately, he wanted to build it taller than the king's castle. And the king was like, well, not the king. It was a nice bustling town, Frampton is, trade town, people wanted to come here. And when everybody wants to come there, the people who live there are like, we don't want any more people coming in. So they make it harder and harder to come in. And eventually they form what's known as an HOA.
Yeah.
So we formed an HOA, and the HOA said denied on Keldor's tower, which angered Keldor, and our good wizard turned into an evil wizard and built a device called the Evil Summoner. It's a terrible name. Powerful wizard, terrible name.
Right.
And he then fires up his evil summoner, and it summons evil throughout time. And it summoned a mummy with a curse on it, and it summoned Dr. Frankenstein, and then it summoned the swamp monster, and then it will summon the invisible man. So now it kind of explains why all these different eras are in our tavern.
And I do love the idea of the tavern because when you first come in, you knock on the door because the door's locked. So you have to have someone greet you. And your crew is all dressed up as part of that time.
Yes.
And they all have an aura to them. Like they're from this time period.
Yes.
And it's really fun because you do kind of you're immersed into this whole new world. And you're like, wow, this is really cool. And you're looking around at everything. You're like, oh, there's a key right there. There's this right there. There's a box. What is that box? I want to see what's in the box. That was me. I was like, I want to open this box, damn it. And we see fun, there's a bar and you see fun little trinkets behind the bar. And then they lead you to the escape room, which is really fun. And so I do like that immersive atmosphere when you first walk in because it's like, okay, yeah, I'm here for this story.
Yes.
And I love that you did that. I thought it was really fun, really unique when I walked in. I was like, oh, this is fun.
Well, do you know why I picked tavern?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So if you play any Dungeons and Dragons type games or role-playing games, when you are a new adventurer in town,
oh, that makes sense.
Where did you go?
Tavern.
Yep.
You always go to the tavern, even with video games, even with, like you said, D&D, that's where the story starts. That's where you, meet the bar owner and all of those, and they're like, hey, we have a mission for you. Can you solve this for us? So I definitely understand now.
Yeah. So that's why we hired you. You get greeted like, oh my God, are you the bounty hunters here to help us? You really need to help us.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said it was very immersive because that was the goal. We wanted you to be into the story right when you walked in the door to the minute you leave. And that's what you pay for. When you go to a movie, you go to escape the world you're in and believe the world you're seeing. Right. When you go to Disney or Universal, everything's themed. So you're just in this magical place the whole time, and that's what you want. And that's why I don't like the escape rooms that just have a normal lobby.
Right.
You talk to a game master, they drag you in there, and they see a video.
Yep, that's one of them that I went into recently. I also just remember, too, I went to the escape room, the second one. And that one is also immersive and very scary.
Yes.
Definitely not beginner friendly if you want to start here. And I think your escape rooms are very beginner friendly and very immersive and get that feel and excitement and all of that. So I have another question too about escape rooms.
Sure.
A lot of the phrases that I hear when it comes to escape rooms is like, oh no, I don't want to be locked in a room. Like, I'm scared about that. Like, I don't want to, like, it just creeps me out. Like, what if I want to leave? Like, I don't like the idea of being locked in a room, like having to figure out my way. What do you tell those people that say that? And like, oh, like, do you say, no, it's really fun? Or do you like kind of explain to them a little bit more of what it's like? Or like, how do you talk to those people that are very uncertain and very nervous about coming to an escape room for the first time?
Well, the first thing I tell them is, by law, I'm not allowed to lock you in a room. So the doors are open at any time. If you're ever uncomfortable and you feel like either you're too claustrophobic, like if you feel claustrophobic or you just don't feel uncomfortable, you can go and open the door and you can go away. So you're never in any danger. Okay? So that's always the first thing. The second thing is they're always like, oh my God, are there jump scares? Are there people in the room? Is it really scary? And my particular one is like, I don't like horror either. Like I don't consider horror, like being scared is not fun. Being scared is you're running for your life. And I don't want to do that.
Like the It ones where you're running for your life.
Exactly. And
they're fun.
They're great rooms. Don't get me wrong. It's just not my cup of tea. So like, it's funny that I inherited a monster-themed room, and I don't like horror at all. So when I played them, I'm like, are they going to be scary? And when I played them, they work. I'm like, okay. So that made me feel better. I mean, there's a couple of, maybe some creepy things, but it's not like over
like,
the top.
There's something creepy in here that I'm always kind of like, like I don't want to give it away for people that come to the escape room for this one right here, but you walk in and you see something and you're like, oh, what is that?
And it's totally fine. It's never too bad. Like, I mean, there are some horror rooms and I won't play them, but people do like them. Like it is, so it's one of those things where I personally tell people that I'm legally not allowed to lock in a room. Right. You can leave at any time. And then I tell them that there's nothing over the top scary, and if you're ever uncomfortable, we can either stop the experience or we can get you through it.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Of course.
That was always one, because I think the word escape room, that word escape, I know a lot of people get like nervous about it. Do you know kind of how that term generated for this kind of experience? Or is it just something that they were like, yeah, let's just name it escape room and call it a day?
I don't know the exact word behind it. I can have an educated guess on it. So again, in all your comments, I'm sure someone will look it up and tell me how.
Yeah.
That's funny. I'm looking into the microphone, assuming these are the commenters posting down below. This guy's an idiot. I would think like most of the time you have an hour to finish a task. And if you don't, you end up dying. It's like, okay, the cops come and arrest you, or the wizard comes back and you're in his tower and he, casts a spell on you and sends you to the nearest planet, So I think the escape part is you have to go in, accomplish a mission, and get out before consequences hit.
Got it.
So I think that's why it's the escape room. But that's just an educated guess.
Yeah.
Whoever the first people to come up with them, that I would imagine they started with a puzzle room.
Right.
And that maybe wasn't nearly as exciting enough, but escape room has a little...
Right.
What am I doing
Escaped
here?
it. Oh.
I know. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
But it's funny, like when you were talking about your father, he wasn't into them, but he didn't know what they were. When I was telling like older people like that I own an escape room, they think it's like one of the panic rooms that people build. Like, oh, you install like the panic rooms in people's houses? I'm like, no, it's like a game.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know. That all they have in their head is that like you're this high level mafia guy, and if you're in trouble, you go like open a bookcase, shut it in there, and you're in a safe room where outside people can't get you.
Right.
So that's what they assume escape room is, because it's like a panic room. But yeah, that's my best guess as to what why it's called an escape room, but
Right.
I'm sure someone will point us in the right direction.
Yeah. And if I find anything too, I'll do resources notes.
Oh, nice.
So if there's any questions that people have too, they could go to that. And if you have any like resources too, we
Sure.
could put in the comments
Sure.
or put in the show notes.
You can stop me mid-video and be like, what he said was incorrect. What really happens is this, and then I can go on talking.
Yeah. In light of the bringing guests into your escape room, what happens if a guest is disruptive? Like, what happens if they are just like not doing the game correctly, kind of ruin some equipment? What do you do then? Do you just kind of like let them finish playing the game, or do you just kind of say like, hey, like that's enough for now? Like, how do you deal with those guests that just kind of come in, be a tornado, and leave?
Okay. Well, with anything, you have a business, you always run the risk of having a bad customer, a bad client. And we don't let you in here. We kind of know what you're doing at all time.
Okay.
So we have cameras set up, and it's mainly to watch the room. And for 99% of the time, it's to watch you. And if you get stuck at something and need a clue, we can give you a clue and move you on. Be like, oh, okay, this is what you're missing.
Yes.
But for that 1% of the time, we're also watching to make sure you don't damage something. So the first thing is, most of the time, people are going to be doing it on accident. Like they'll see something that they shouldn't touch, and it's funny with escape rooms, like people start getting like all these crazy ideas. Like, you know what? I bet you there's like, they'll look at this vent. Sorry, I'm pointing to a vent that you can't see.
Yes.
Just imagine that you see a vent there. So they'll look at the vent. You're like, I think there's something hitting up there, and they'll try to like rip the vent off the wall. I think it's that, and then we'll intervene and be like, oh, hey, we won't break character. We'll say, oh, Master never goes into the ceiling to do anything, so I think you're doing okay.
Yeah.
And that will usually stop. Again, of the 1% of the people that try to do that, 99% of those will stop.
Right.
If you get someone who is purposely trying to ruin your room, or they come in drunk, or they're disruptive and stuff like that, we have everyone sign a waiver.
Mm-hmm.
And in the waiver, it does say that, if you ruin the room, you're responsible for it. And
Right.
these rooms are expensive. Like, it's all tech and stuff like that. So, like, Gen 1 rooms, you can get away with building for being $1,000. But these generation, like, 4 and 5 rooms, they're like $100,000.
Right.
Put
It's a
together.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of detail to it. There's
Yes.
a lot of tech to it. Like you said, there's a lot of equipment and things that you have to like get and details. And like I'm looking around like different dressers and mirrors and pictures and capture that you're building your room together.
Yes.
So
it's and the tech stuff is also, it's expensive as well. So yes, with any business, you're going to have some bad apples. And I have, fortunately, not had any yet. So
that's good.
yes, it shows also in our reviews and stuff. They've all been positive. And it's, again, I'm always skeptical because I'm like, oh, that's just someone who, doesn't want to say that it's really cool. Like everyone's, oh, it was great. And I was like, well, that's just being nice.
Yeah.
But a lot of people post, 5-star reviews, and I don't know. So that, it does make me feel good.
Yeah.
Like, we just have a couple of playtesters go to the new room, which opens, I was going to say tomorrow, but they won't know where tomorrow is. It's open on the 24th of April. So whenever this airs, it's probably going to be open already, so you can come and play. The playtesters are like, oh my God, I love this. But they're talking to me. They know I'm the owner. And of course, they're not going to be like, this sucks. Why are you doing this? And it's like, okay. So it's cool. Like, again, I'm still skeptical that I built something fun, but so far no one's told me otherwise.
And I'm sure if someone has, they probably would say something like,
Right.
Like if Biz would be like, hey, this doesn't work. Like I'm sure he'll tell you like immediately.
Yes. Well, it's funny because Biz, the way I got this room, I don't even think we got into how I got to this room. I stumped in the Knives Out. So from Knives Out, we're going back. Rewind. Imagine we're back at the question from 20 minutes ago. When I did the mobile escape room, after that, I kind of put the idea of owning an escape room away because we went through the pandemic, and then I started working and everything else. Randomly, I happened to check Facebook, and Biz, the builder here, posted that this room was for sale. And I went, And I found a new business partner, and he loves escape rooms just like me. And that's how we met, through our, love of escape rooms. And I called him up and I said, listen, there's an escape room for sale in Vegas. I think it's worthwhile to go out, have a trip, check it out, and see what the price is. And I know Biz posted about it because he liked the rooms. So if he thought they were good rooms, and he knows good rooms and bad rooms,
Right.
it was probably worth saving. So I came out here and played them. And I'm like, oh man, these are actually kind of good.
Oh.
I was hoping to come out here and be like, oh, these rooms are bad, or the price. Like I was waiting to hear the price, and the price was actually within our range. Like every roadblock I put up to prevent myself from buying it, when I heard the answer, the roadblock went away.
I was going to ask you, too, if you've had any pivotal moments in your journey where you felt like this wouldn't work at all, or you felt like everything was against you. But it sounds like from after viewing this part, it just was kind of putting it into place when you were trying to stop it from happening kind of thing.
See, I'm leaving out some parts of the story. There was a point where the whole deal just fell apart. And we couldn't get the numbers to work. We couldn't get anything to work. And it just wasn't working out right. And both Lou and I said, hey, we're just going to step away. And we did. We stepped away for about a week. And then we got a call. The offer had changed. And I remember talking to Lou. And I'm like, look, if this is probably the best deal we're going to get, if we ever wanted to own an escape room, this is it.
Yeah.
So it's either we do this or we'll never do it. And we both went, yeah, let's try it. So we were going to give ourselves about 6 months and see how it works out. So we're approaching month 4.5, almost 5. And so far, so good. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's scary. It's because, when you go and work for someone, I've worked for people, as most people, they don't own companies. You go in and they hand you an employee manual or whatever it is, and they give you their training and everything else. And then when I open this place up and I'm like, wow, I'm going to have employees, I'm like, oh man, I got to think of some way for them to clock in and out.
Right.
So I had to go get an app for that. And then I'm like, I need to have policies. You have to have call-off policies and vacation policies and rate policies. And we have an HR person. I'm just like, oh my God, I have to create all this.
Yeah.
And it's there's resources out there to help you, but you're every step of the process, you're it's just not there. You have to create it. So that was a big leap to be oh, the designing of the games is fun, but it's also a business.
Right.
And you have to find, you have to create all of this stuff. You have to create a way to give the schedule. You have to create a way to keeping track of people. You have to get an HR people. You have to get insurance. You have to get this. You have to get this. I'm just oh my God, what am I doing?
Right. I was going to ask you too, because having this escape room is very creative and very very unique, and it uses a different part of your brain. So how do you struggle switching that side of your brain to more of the logistics side of owning a business? And how did you get through those struggling pain points of doing okay, I have to do this, I have to research it, I have to look at this, and how did you work through that instead of just give up completely?
Well, when you put a lot of money into something, you're I can't give up. So, but it's one of those things where, what's the easiest way to put it? You just have to do it. Owning a business is fun in some aspects, but you also, as everyone should know going into it, there's a lot of parts that suck.
Yeah.
And you have to go through all of that hellish stuff to get to the end point. I remember even this, in my head, I'm okay, I'll just, you put out advertising. I put out advertising 2 weeks before we opened, and I had all rooms ready. I had staff plans and everything else. This is going to work. And we opened the first day, we had 15 people come through. I'm this is great. Then the next day we had 2. And then there was none. and there was none, and there was none, and there was none. And after the fourth day of nobody booking, I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? And it's just because nobody knew about it. And I was like, wow, like this is a constant process and it just doesn't happen overnight. And that was my first realization of, okay, you have to get up every day as a business owner and be like, how can I help my company?
Right.
And at first, I was scared about it. But now that I've done it for a while, I'm like excited to be like, what other new things I could do? And that's like when Ian suggested this. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Something new, you know? I always tell people I'm doing the spaghetti method. I'm just taking all the pasta, throwing it against the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yep.
You know?
Just getting the word out there as best as you can with different elements as you can.
And you get you'll put a lot of effort in and you'll get no reward out of it. Other things you're like, sure, I'll try this, and it works out great. And I just started diving into every avenue I could to try to talk about this.
Yeah.
So, and it helps apparently to have a good product. I always knock on wood because again, it's hard to believe that it's good, but I do think that we put together something good, and it's not me. I am so behind the scenes on it. The only reason this escape room is good is number one, because of Biz, and number two, Roots, and number three, everybody on my staff. Like, they go way above and beyond anything I could have hoped for. And like, I joke because I don't know how to reset my rooms. I don't know how to run the tech. I had a phone call come in and they wanted to play, and I'm like, let me see if I can get somebody in here. And they immediately said, yeah, we'll come in and help you out.
Yeah.
And they are constantly coming up with, what about doing this, Mike? What about doing this? And they give me marketing ideas and they give me suggestions for the rooms. And they said, hey, you know, I got this idea to promote here. I got this idea to do this. And it is crazy because like, I couldn't do this without them. And again, not being local, I didn't know any of them. Like I knew Biz, and Biz got me in contact with Rue. We met, and she was great from the minute I met her. She was way too overqualified for this. And she ended up hiring the staff, and each and every person she's hired has worked out great. And I try my best to do any little thing I can to help them. Like the Playground is one of our sponsors over at the Luxor. And they got to all play for free. And I treated them to dinner. We did an exchange with Texas Roadhouse. Yeah. So I got to treat them all to dinner. That's fun. We had the BattleBots people come in, so they're going to get to go to BattleBots. And
that's going to be really cool.
Right. So I'm trying my best to treat employees as best as possible, because I know this isn't a job that they're going to be able to retire on and live the great life. They're doing it because they are really, really passionate about it. So much so that probably some of them exceed even my passion for it, which is crazy because I should be like, you see like the stereotypical movie where you have the kid behind the counter who doesn't want to be there. And that is so far from what this team has done. And I am very blessed to have them. So
yeah, having a good team definitely helps bring a product like to life and helps bring your vision to where you want it to go. And it's like you are all in this together kind of thing.
Well, the other thing that helps is I give them the freedom to be creative. Like every character that answers the door is a different character. Like I'm not of, you need to do this, you need to do this and do this. You are in charge of making the customer feel great. However you feel that is necessary. So I don't put any real restrictions on them. I say whatever costume you want to wear, you know what you want to do, however you want to portray your accent, however you want to give clues, whatever personality you want to use. I want to see more of it.
Right.
You know? So I don't micromanage them, which I think is what holds a lot of other business owners back, and it makes their employees resent
Right.
working for them. Like if I came up to you with your podcast, you're like, it has to be 30 minutes and it has to be these questions and all these questions for each.
Right. It's like, no, like I want my whole thing.
Right. I'm closing you in, and then
Yeah.
you're trying to fit what I want. Whereas I'm saying, you go be creative, because anything you do is going to be better than anything I could ever suggest.
Right. And that you're putting that power into your employees. They want to come here. They want to work here. They want to help.
Yeah.
They want to be able to give patrons the experiences that you're hoping that they wouldn't have. So, yeah.
Right.
I totally understand that.
Yeah. And it shows. Like if you go and look at our reviews, I would say 90% of them mention how great the staff is.
Yeah.
Not even my room. Like I could have truly horrible rooms, but my staff makes it better.
They do.
You know, and
Yeah.
you will, if you get a good customer experience and you get someone who's passionate about their job, everyone sees it right away, and it just gets you in the correct frame of mind.
Yes. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course, of course.
So, the last question that I want to ask you
Sure.
is, do you feel like your journey from when you first saw escape rooms till now, do you feel like this can lead you to that dream life that you've always envisioned for yourself, or do you feel like that you're still working on that?
I think so, because like I said, from a very early age, I knew I wanted to be a computer programmer. This is way before the escape rooms, back when I was in 7th grade. And I did. I became a computer programmer right out of school. And in fact, I graduated on May 16th and started my computer job on May 17th.
Okay, like literally right after.
Literally right after. Like I always joke, I played my life backwards. Right when I got done with college, I went right to a corporate job. I worked corporate for 13 years. And then I quit it all, packed up from Ohio, and moved to LA to act, which is funny.
Yeah.
And now I went from that set schedule to just being free. And it was so much more fun. And then I discovered the escape rooms, and I'm like, oh my God, I think I can own this. And I think that if this facility does well, I would love to open up a second one. And it would be another themed building, but be different themed.
Right.
And eventually I think I would want to own up to 3 or 4.
That'd be cool.
And at that point, I'd say the plan would probably be within 3 years to potentially open a second one. But then the third one will probably come within another 2 years, because it becomes easier, because I'll have all this marketing behind it, be able to carry over. It's like franchising. Like
Right.
the first McDonald's took a little bit to get off the ground, and then it's easy to franchise. And I hate using the word franchise, so I don't want to be a corporation. I hate corporations now. I've worked with them too much.
Yeah.
Because, well, side story with the employees. A lot of my employees, they came from, like, some came from corporate escape rooms and stuff like that, and they were miserable there. And they love escape rooms. But when they love working here because they get the freedom to enjoy the experience as well.
Right.
So that, I do think that if things go according to plan, that I will open a second facility and potentially a third. And I think if I get to that point, then yeah, I think I'll be fine. I'll be able to at least be known somewhere in the escape room world, and that would be something cool
Yes.
where I'd be remembered by, you know?
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I could see it happening. I could see you having a little bit of a franchise, like a little bit. Your way though.
Yes.
And I look forward to seeing more like what you come up with and what you have for like the different rooms. Like I'm excited to test out the swamp room when it's open, and I'm excited to just see what happens with your
Yeah.
growth. And so I want to do one last question.
Sure, sure.
Thought of it too. How do you tell someone that's in the mindset of like being stuck and they want to be their own boss and they want to work for themselves? What do you tell that person
Okay.
that from your own experience?
And I will tell you the exact experience that got me, because I felt stuck too. Like I said, I was 12 years into corporate America. I had a big house in Ohio. I had the cars. I had everything that I wanted, and I was miserable. And I always felt like, I remember it was on my birthday. I was in Pittsburgh, and there was this guy, Andrew, who was also one of my bosses at the Federal Reserve. Learned a lot from the Federal Reserve. I had great bosses there. But he was one of my bosses at the time. We were eating lunch, and he looked at me. He goes, "You look too happy." And I said, "Yeah, I just don't think I want to do this anymore." He goes, "Oh." And he goes, "Well, what did you always think you wanted to do?" And at the time, I said, "I always thought I could act." And he looked at me, and he goes, "Okay." He goes, "Here's what I want you to do. I want you to make one phone call to try to get yourself into acting. One phone call. Commit to making one phone call to pursue this. If it ends, you gave it a shot. But if it doesn't, follow up." And believe it or not, I made the one phone call. I took the leap. All it takes is one phone call to do. And if more than likely at that point that you decide to make that phone call, your mind is going to switch and you're going to want to get through it. So that is the scary part. Most people have the ideas and they don't. They think it's too much to get going. It just takes one phone call.
Yeah, so thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
sharing that,
Of
for
course.
opening up the room to do this podcast, and for being a great example of what it looks like to follow your dreams and to do what you love to do. So I really appreciate your time and for coming on the podcast.
Sure, anytime, Jules.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for those that are watching or listening to this episode and you made it all the way through, there is a special code for you that's $10 off for your experience to have at the escape rooms. You could choose any 3 rooms. Just use the code Jules and you'll get that $10 discount. All right. Thank you so much again for being here. And
Thank you for having me. This is great. I enjoyed it.
Yay.
Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to rate, send us a comment, and share the podcast. If you're interested in coming on the show as a guest, send me a DM over at Jules Unscripted Pod on Instagram. Tune in next week for more episodes with Jules Unscripted. Bye!